The title of this podcast is Get Good at Something or This Life is Going to Be Tough. This is inspired by my good friend, Pat Marcanio. We've been friends for over 11 years, and every time I'm around him, he always is telling me how grateful he is for my friendship. And I'm telling him the same thing. He is just such a good human being and so thoughtful and so kind. And he's been really, really supportive of me. And so, Pat, thank you. And so, what inspired this was a story that Pat told me many, many years ago. He had worked out his life. He was an Army Ranger. He jumped out of planes while his whole tour. I think Pat had something like over 3,000 jumps in his lifetime. So he does skydiving, competitions, and he's just great, super fit. He's about 5 or 6 years older than I am, and he looks amazing. And because he takes care of himself. So when Pat got into working out in a different way, he was working out with a guy who was pretty serious, hardcore. And Pat remembers going through the workouts, just dying. He was dying. And the guy looked at him one day when he was like, listen, you need to pick one part of this workout, at least one, and you need to get really, really good at it. Otherwise, these workouts are going to be crushing for you. They're going to be really, really tough. And so Pat took that to heart. And so the area that he focused on was his core, his abs. So Pat worked his abs out because the first couple of times before this guy gave Pat the advice, the abs were just one more exercise to endure out of a workout that's already incredibly challenging. So he worked on the abs in such a way in between the workouts with his other guy. So when he came to abs, they would be like a rest break for him. He made that a focus for him. And so that is kind of an analogy or segue into the topic of this podcast, which is get good at something or this life is going to be really, really tough. And for years, I thought that getting good at something was getting good at a skill, that allowed me to earn money or a profession or a hobby, get good at that. That's one way I could do it. But again, that's all in the service of some kind of external experience. And it can be fleeting unless you're really, really present. Because even if you do something that you love, and I know a lot of people do, whether it's serving your country in one capacity or another, or serving the community. But if you don't watch the mind, you will start to lose sight of meaning and purpose related to whatever it is you're doing. And so is that where you want to be focusing your attention, your energy, your work? And I put forth that a better place to work on it is to work on your mind. And better yet, work on being observant of your mind so you can make different choices and not be at the mercy of your mind when you become identified with what it says. So I pick one thing at a time that caused me problems in my life, not anything outside of me, because a lot of that's out of my control. And if I do need to deal with it, I'm much better dealing with it when I'm coming at it from a very peaceful space, very peaceful, which starts with my inner state. So I picked up complaining. It was such low hanging fruit. I deserve no credit for choosing complaining first, because that's just what I did. I complained about everything. And so much so that I didn't even know I was doing this, like breathing the number of things I would complain. Sometimes I would say it out loud, but inside it was going on all the time about what should be different, what could be better. And it was nonstop. So I thought to myself that I'm going to work on that so that life is not tough for me anymore. And it's amazing when I gave up complaining or wishing things should be different or saying that things should be different. When I gave that up, it's amazing how much life improved. Situations were still challenging, but they occurred for me in a completely different way. They occurred to me as an opportunity to take action, if action could be leveraged toward a situation. But if it couldn't be, then the action became acceptance. But in no way, in my response, there was no place that you could have found me complaining. And it's amazing how life just changed. So I took one by one so that I stopped having a tough life, no matter what happened. Many years ago, ToBeRe went through an event in which half of the members left, which significantly impacted my ability to make a living. And thankfully, I had this well-being practice, and I had been working on small things like not complaining or thinking that things should be different or shouldn't be happening. That when people left, I didn't say that this shouldn't be happening or this isn't fair. No, because that would only make the task ahead much tougher than it needed to be. So by being clear, that was so much better. If you can get if you can make that a priority of getting good at practicing acceptance when it comes to change. However that change shows up, but if you can practice acceptance, you will be able to handle change so much better. If you become better at extending grace to people and compassion when they fall short, it will open you up in a way that allows your heart to just give love freely, unconditionally, if you do that. So what I've learned is, and I'm continuing to learn this over this journey, is that I want to get good at something so that life is not tough anymore. And those things I just mentioned, from complaining to acceptance to anything that I am causing suffering. Not anyone is doing, no one else is doing it, no other person, no situation, what I'm doing to myself because of my thoughts and opinions about the situation. Like I worked on that so it don't bother me. If I plan to do something or see someone and they change their mind, oh, what a great opportunity for acceptance. I've got better at it. I'm like, oh, it's cool, no problem. In the beginning, it was tough when we already had plans and there were commitments made. But now I just accept it. And with more and more practice, it became easier and easier and easier. And now when people change plans or can't do something, what they get back from me is grace. They get so much love and so much grace. Literally, when life shows up, I'm like Wayne Dyer's when he told his daughter Savannah, when she was at school and she got in trouble, 7 years old. She came home and she tried to explain to him that it wasn't her fault, that the other student had provoked her and the teacher thought that she was the one who was responsible for the altercation. So Wayne asked her, the story of the orange he gave her. When someone squeezes an orange, what comes out of it? Orange juice, she says. Can you get apple juice? She said, no. Grape juice? No. Pineapple juice? No. He said, you sure about that? She said, yes, silly. The only thing you get out of the orange juice, out of the orange, is orange juice. And he looked at her and said, so in life, where people squeeze you, what comes out? And I've worked on that. I've worked on what will come out of me. Love, kindness, compassion, gratitude, acceptance, all those things I'm working on. And it become easier and easier. Before they were so tough. Now they're easier. When someone doesn't agree with me or share my opinion politically, and they may even put a bumper sticker on their car, they may wear a t-shirt, or they may even be very vocal about it, both in virtual world by posting or by actually saying it. And when that rubs up against my thoughts and my beliefs or these opinions, and those get squeezed, what comes out of me? Acceptance, love now, like all of it. Like I choose not to get wrapped up in what my mind has to say about things that only causes suffering for me. And why would I do that to myself? I wouldn't. Keith 1.0 did, but Keith 2.0 doesn't do that. And that's because I made it a point to get good at something in life so that life would no longer be tough for me.